Pluto is here to say hello to you. Ha. Isn't that cute? Dawn Lee made this for me today. So getting ready for the Christmas season, I guess. Dawn Lee found a Christmas picture of Pluto and she made it for me. Wonderful lady, that Dawn. Ooh, what's that? It's like the sideways transporter in Star Trek. Dawn Lee, she prays for Rod Stewart on a regular basis, and just love Dawn Lee. She is herself, and that's what today's message was all about. This notion of being on island number 7 of the journey to be, and this being yourself, and understanding that God has created you uniquely for this time period. It's amazing to think about the fact that you were born at the exact time and the exact place that God wanted you to be born. You weren't born in another country, in another time period, in another decade, in another era. You were born right where God meant you to be born. And so there's a purpose for life. And one of the biggest purpose for life is to be who God has created you to be. And island number 7 deals with the notion of being who God has created you to be. So this week's message, we entitled it Fuhgeddaboudit, because it's the upside down way of Jesus, because we have this desire to know God. In fact, island number 7 talks about how I will daily spend time with God for self-examination, Bible reading, and prayer. And we talked about the concept of self-examination is looking at self. Who am I? Asking that question. What's my life all about? What's my purpose? Bible reading, not Bible studying, but Bible reading. And not that there's anything wrong with Bible study, but many of us have either forgotten or have never been led to read the Bible as a love story, to just read it, to take it in. I know I personally struggled with this for many years because I was always reading the Bible for a sermon. I was always reading the Bible for a Bible study or a class or something. I always had a purpose for it. I never read the Bible just to read it. And that was something that was new for me, just to open it up and just start reading the story and letting the words wash over me. So for self-examination, Bible reading, and of course prayer. And this sense of wanting a desire, having a desire to know God and to know His will for your life. That's what island number 7 is about. I desire to know God and His will for my life. And to gain the power to follow His will. Because it's one thing to know about the will of God. It's another thing to follow the will of God. We can know a lot about God. God can be, in essence, the starting quarterback on our fantasy football team. We know a lot about God's stats. We know the situations that He's in and what He will do and how He's performed in the past. But to know God is something totally different. And that's what island number 7 is about knowing God. Knowing God and knowing His will for your life. Well, in order to know God, we've got to answer a question for ourselves. And in order to know God, you've got to ask yourself this question. Do I want to find myself? Do I want to find myself? Many of us enjoy finding out about ourselves. We like to read horoscopes for astrological signs and to see what that's all about. We like to read fortune cookies and find out about what our fortune is going to be. Some of us even enjoy Myers-Briggs personality types and those inventories to find out about how we're wired and what we do. So we find out a lot about ourselves, but the question for you is not to find out a lot about yourself. Do you truly want to find yourself? Because that is the essential question. You can't really deal with God's will, knowing God and knowing God's will for your life, if you're not willing to come clean with getting to know who you are, getting to know yourself, to find yourself. And it's the upside down way of Jesus. We were looking at Matthew chapter 10, verses 38 and 39. And Matthew chapter 10, verses 38 through 39 talks about That sense of you don't go all the way with me through thick and thin, then you don't deserve me. If your first concern is to look at yourself, you'll never find yourself. But if you forget about yourself and look to me, look to Jesus, then you'll find both yourself and Jesus. So it really requires us to take that step and say, do I want to truly find myself? Because if you don't truly want to find yourself, get there right in the middle. If you don't truly, this eye, that eye, this eye. If you don't truly want to find yourself, then it doesn't really matter. Step number 7, island number 7 means nothing because it'll just be a place that you live. It'll just be a place that you hang out because you won't truly be able to glean all of the riches and the vastness of what island number 7 represents if you aren't willing to find yourself. And that's a question that only you can answer. Because that upside down way of Jesus says in order to find yourself, you got to forget about yourself. You got to forget about yourself and look to Jesus. And so that leads us to that place where we ask, what is the point? What is the point of island number 7 on the journey to be? And the point is that navel gazing never leads to a prosperous life. If we spend all of our time looking down on our navels, which by the way is our belly button if you're not sure what that is, if we spend all of our time looking at our navels, then we're going to bloody our heads because we're going to keep running into walls over and over and over and over again. It's not until we lift our eyes off of our own situations, off our own problems, forgetting about ourselves, so to speak, and looking towards Jesus that we'll be able to find out who we really are and be able to know God in a much deeper way. And so that's the point of island number 7. And that's, for some of us, we're going to have to live a long time on island number 7 to get ourselves to that place where, number 1, we want to admit that we do want to find ourselves truly. And then taking the steps of finding ourselves, forgetting about us and turning towards Jesus. That upside down way of Jesus, the forget about yourself in order to find yourself. The last shall be first and the first shall be last, all those things. So that's kind of what we were talking about today on island number 7. And I reminded everybody that next week's island number 8, our final island on our chain of islands and the journey to be. And then we will start a new series in the month of October. And with the new series comes the movement of the chairs. So I started to prepare everybody for the chairs moving around in the sanctuary for the new series. It's always a stressful time. So much fun. Always a stressful time moving the chairs around, but then everybody gets over it and we get comfortable in that way, just enough time to move the chairs around again for a new series. So until we come back together again next week, as I say always, I hope that this week has a great you, and we'll talk to you soon.